102.5, the British Psychic Calling Show. The Motown song by Rod Stewart, that well-known Scotsman, born in North London, I found it this week. It teaches you to listen to the bridge, because I heard it on Paul Collins' show during the week. That,
you are just a mind full of information.
No, I just stole it off Paul Collins when he did it on his show during the week, because I'm sitting there going, yeah, Rod Stewart's... He's from North London. That's a crime where I come from, you see, because I'm from South London. I'm pleased to say, on the line now, we have a gentleman called Gary Mannion, who's a psychic surgeon. Gary.
Hello.
How are you this afternoon?
I'm always good, thank you. Yourselves?
Yeah, we're fine. Did you enjoy Mother's Day? Did you go out somewhere or do anything?
No, we've been playing catch-up with paperwork today.
Oh, no, not the... That's all the joys of being self-employed.
I know.
I know. How did you get into, you know, or what you do? I mean, I've been on your website, GaryMannion.com, and I've been reading through it, and I've seen... whoever's out there, write this down, GaryMannion.com. Go on the website later on tonight, yeah? Have a look at some of the videos you've got. Gary's got posted on there. It is absolutely amazing.
Thank you very much.
I spent the kids wonder what I was doing. I was sitting in bed actually with the laptop this morning with the headphones on, watching it and going through it all. I was sort of taken back by it all.
Oh, thank you.
That's the only way I can explain it. As I say, I'm just a host. I'm not a medium, a psychic, or anything like that. I just host the show. But I do actually get very interested. I do a bit of research of what's going on. I've never seen anything like it.
It definitely is a rare one. If you were going to, say, Philippines or Brazil, it's much more widely known.
Yeah.
In the UK, Europe, there's only a handful of us. And I actually am the youngest one in Europe.
When you say youngest one, how are you? How old are you?
I'm 24 now.
24?
Get a bit old, but...
You're half my age.
Good age to be.
Thank you.
But for me, basically, I've been psychic all my life.
Yeah.
Apparently from the age of 2, I used to speak to people who physically weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, I've got no memory before the age of 13. So my very first memory is my dad taking me to a local spiritualist church.
Yeah.
Sitting down the front, saw the medium tune in, and heard a voice in my head saying, "You can do that."
Well, was your dad into it himself?
My dad is he's open-minded.
Yeah.
But very cynical.
He could see a talent. And thought you had to follow it through. Is that what you mean?
It was more of an interest for him.
Yeah.
I just got to come along really.
Uh-huh.
So, so sitting down the front, saw this medium tune in, heard this voice in my head. So being 13, hearing voices in my head, I thought, well, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
And that kind of started off the kind of psychic medium pathway for me.
Yeah.
And as time went by, I would do readings for friends, for strangers, help pass exams in school, the usual kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I kind of said to Spirit one day, I want to teach people to do this. Because I do think everyone is psychic to some degree.
Yes, so Beth said that to me myself. You know, she said, everybody's got this in them. As I say, I've just come onto the show. I mean, I've been doing it now about 18 months with Beth, haven't I? Is it 18 months now?
Yeah.
And as I say, I'm what I call an outsider.
You have to start practicing.
I know. I have in front of me, believe it or not, my own tarot cards Beth bought me, my selenite wand, and all sorts of things that psychics have given me.
Your pendulum as well.
Oh, well, my pendulum. Do you have a pendulum? I've got a pendulum as well. So I am getting into it bit by bit. My uncle used to go to a spiritist church in Eastbourne many moons ago. So it's been in my family for so many years, but I've never really followed it through.
Well, if Beth Seville one day, I'm sure you could stand in.
No, not me, for heaven's sake. I have enough trouble running the station, running the studio, should I say, than doing readings at the same time. It'd be frightening. So you went to this psychic church, this spiritualist church, shall I say?
Yeah, I got to go along. I said my dad went out of interest and I got to go along. So obviously, because that was my first experience, when he stopped going, I continued and kind of developed that way. But for me, it really kind of kicked off just under 6 years ago. I was invited to Manchester to actually teach some psychic development. And the group I was teaching asked me to do some spiritual healing with them. So again, at the time, I thought, well, put your hands on someone, let the energy come through. What harm can it do? I'll give it a go.
Exactly.
So we had this woman lying on the couch, and I was instructed to put my hands on her stomach and to work from her stomach. So I went to start, and all of a sudden I felt this very strong presence behind me. I then started seeing these hands go into her stomach and start pulling out what to me looked like mould. Now,
when you said you saw these hands go into her stomach, can you sort of explain to somebody like me what you saw? Is it mentally you saw your hands go in the stomach?
I say it's within my mind's eye.
Yeah.
I'm aware it's in my mind's eye, but it's as clear as me or you.
Yeah.
And even when I work, it's like being in two places at once. So I'm aware of everything physically going on in the room.
Yeah.
But I also see and feel these additional hands going inside. So I saw this mould getting pulled out of her stomach and said to her afterwards, look, this is probably going to make no sense to you, but I saw this mould getting pulled out.
Mould?
Yeah, literally mould.
Yeah.
And she said, actually, that makes perfect sense. I've got a digestive problem. where food doesn't always digest in my stomach.
Right.
So every now and then I go to the hospital to get it removed when it goes all mouldy.
Ah.
So back then I thought, strange, but okay, I'll go with it.
Yeah.
And that basically kick-started it off, really. And from then on, whenever I would do spiritual healing, I would see these hands go in and operate.
Uh-huh.
I then started being scientifically researched by the Scottish Society for Psychical Research and another organisation called PRISM, which also does psychical research. And they've been researching me for now 5 years or so.
Uh-huh.
And with them, we have about a 90% success rate.
A success rate? I mean, you can actually follow this through. It is a success rate.
Yeah, 90% of the people we treat would report they're getting the results they want.
Uh-huh. And it could be of any condition. I mean, please excuse my ignorance on this, Gary. I mean, do you specialise in certain things on the body? I mean,
we will treat pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Anything physical, mental, emotional. We strongly believe anything physical is always like the last manifestation anyway. Mm-hmm. So we'll treat things like stress and all things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have results across the whole range, really.
So I mean, there's nothing you really wouldn't sort of like try yourself on somebody. Anybody can come in and say, do they actually tell what's wrong, or do they just say, well, it's about here, or do you? Really what I'm trying to get at, Gary, I mean, when somebody comes in, and if I came in, myself, and said something's wrong with me, would you want me to tell you whereabout it is, or could you actually sort of just come over me and just feel where you felt the energy was coming from?
Normally, during the treatment, we have to ask the person what they would like to work on.
Yeah.
When I first started, and when I demonstrate in public, I will normally pick the people I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, because of all the laws that are in place at the moment, and because I'm not a doctor, I'm not allowed to diagnose.
That's fair enough.
The other problem we have is, say you came along and you had a back problem, you didn't tell me, and I picked up you had a heart condition.
Right.
Now, if you weren't aware of that, I can get in serious trouble for diagnosing that.
Ah, I see, yeah.
So what we'll normally do is I'll ask the person where they've got the pain or problem, and then I'll give my opinion on what I'm seeing and feeling, as well as treating the area, of course.
Yeah. And the treatment is always putting hands in, or is it hands-on, or...?
Normally it works hands-on. We can work hands-off if people prefer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's normally hands-on. Doesn't hurt me at all. I've never killed anyone that's complained.
I saw one of your videos with a guy, I think it was in Brazil, doing it.
John of God, yes.
Yes, I do apologise. I can't remember the guy, because I was so fascinated this morning. I'm on my own with 2 kids, and when you're sitting in bed in the Sunday morning enjoying yourself, watching your videos, and kids are coming in with homework, you can't remember everything.
Understandable. As I said at the beginning, in places like Brazil or Philippines, psychic surgery is a lot more widely known.
Yeah.
Gary, did you actually go and see John of God?
Yes, I was actually invited by the entities to go out there and work with him. So I took up the offer and went out there. It's an amazing experience. And the one benefit you've got with Brazil is psychic surgeons are allowed to cut skin there.
They can cut the skin themselves, can't they?
I've just heard so many fascinating things about John of God and the work that he does. Do you ever listen to any of Dr. Wayne Dyer or read any of his books?
No.
He's an amazing American guy who actually lives in Hawaii, and he has got a condition, a form of leukemia.
Yes.
He's very, very well known in the UK and in the USA, and he has been treated by John of God. And it was a distance healing. He didn't actually go. It was distance healing that he received. And he talks about the most powerful healing experience that he's ever witnessed.
It is.
And he speaks from the heart. I mean, this John of God, it's an amazing thing. And I didn't know that you'd actually been and worked with him.
Yeah, the entities invited me out there to work with them, so I went out there for 2 weeks. It was an amazing experience, and I said you can cut skin. John of God doesn't hide anything. You can watch him work. You can see him cutting the skin.
Did you cut any skin, may I ask?
No, that wasn't out there. It's something we're looking at in the UK, but obviously because we've got all the laws at the moment, we're trying to do it for research.
When you was over there, did you have a go yourself?
No, there was sadly there's a lot of politics out there.
Yeah.
Which is sad because the work there is fantastic.
Yeah.
But obviously, with any organisation, you're going to get politics.
You've got to have some in place, haven't you? Let's be honest about it.
But why, if you're doing psychic surgery, where you can, let's say, pull things out with your mind's eye and correct conditions, why would you need to cut the skin? Well,
this is, one of the reasons why we don't cut skin, as well as law, is Abraham, who's my main surgeon, doesn't like cutting skin. He makes it clear that the reason it was done in the first place was evidence. But it's barbaric. It's not necessary. In our own work, with our research, all the research we've done so far hasn't been cutting skin. I will never progress to cutting the public. What we are looking to do, though, is to start cutting skin for medical practitioners so that we can prove evidence to the actual medical community, so that they take it more serious and take it more on board.
You just said and mentioned Abraham. The work that you do, I know would you call Abraham your spirit guide? Because I know you channel Abraham.
Yeah, he calls himself as a spirit that chooses to work with me. But what you get with psychic surgery is you have the main one, which would be Abraham, and he's got a team of doctors and surgeons that work with him.
Right, well, we're just going to go to a little break there, Gary.
No
so if you could just hold on and enlighten us a little bit more after the break, that would be great.
Right, on the line now we've got Gary Mannion, GaryMannion.com. Surname spelled Mannion, GaryMannion.com. Go on that website tonight, listen to his interview, absolutely amazing guy. Go on his website tonight, have a good look, see some of the videos, you'll be astounded. We're going to have a bit of break to listen to our sponsors, and we're going to come straight back to Gary and hear more about his psychic surgeon, Abraham.
Linking communities together. 102.5. The Bridge.
The Spiritual Calling Show with Beth Lee Crowther.
Brought to you by Simply Charming, the holistic gift shop and treatment centre in Blackwell Street, Kidderminster. Telephone 752 522.
It's 102.5 The Bridge. I'm Ken Francis. We're talking to Gary Mannion, but don't forget the other Gary is coming in soon at 7 o'clock with his Northern Soul show. Fantastic music, Gary Edwards. Do listen to him. Gary, sorry, we was chatting away on the phone in the break there.
That's okay.
Your guide is a guy called Abraham?
He is, yes.
Yeah.
I just think it's fascinating when somebody works with a guide and they've got a name for them. I do believe everybody's got a spirit guide. I don't know what you think, Gary, but
I totally agree. What you get a lot of people, with a lot of courses we do, you get a lot of people, though, that they give so much emphasis to the guide. I mean, I love the fact that I know who my guide is and how we work with them. But sometimes I've seen some fantastic mediums and healers who haven't got a clue who's working for them. And sometimes it isn't relevant.
How do you get a guide? I mean, please excuse my ignorance once again. How do you know he is your guide, and where did it come from?
You don't get one.
You don't get one?
You've been assigned one. You've been assigned
That's it.
one.
Put me down, Gary. I'll be quite happy. So you signed a guide.
You would discover who your guide is.
Yeah.
They're already there, and you would maybe do a meditation or something like that to discover who they are.
Yeah.
But like Gary has just said, a lot of mediums are just working knowing that they're channeling information and don't necessarily have a name or a story, if you like, behind their guide.
Yeah.
I think there's different guides that come in for people at different times in their life. I don't think you've just got one guide.
I totally agree.
I haven't. I know I've got several, and you know, you agree, Gary, so I'm sure you have. But what I really like, and why I was so keen to get you back on the Spiritual Calling Show, was because 2 or 3 people that I know quite well have actually been to see you.
Oh, lovely.
And have been treated with excellent results. So I thought I really wanted to get you back on, want to tell you that and enlighten other people about your work, because I know that you travel throughout the UK and I know that you're accessible, you see. So anybody that would like to have a healing treatment, I know that you are available. So
we do get around, yes. We've got a lot of clinics in the UK, and we're currently doing a European and world tour at the moment, so we are trying to make it as accessible as possible.
I saw you've been going over to Norway.
Yes, we've been going there quite a bit this year already.
How did that come about, to go to Norway? I mean, is it through the internet, or is a network you're using?
Normally I'll do a demonstration, or I'll treat someone, they get a result, they want me to then see their family, and then it just kind of spreads that way, really. And I've got a really bad habit of not saying no.
As you do.
I take a day off.
Oh, yeah. I know the feeling. I mean, we all do exactly the same. But once you're into it and you feel you're helping somebody, you do actually put more effort into it, I'm sure.
It's definitely a lovely job.
Yes.
But, Gary, if you need any help yourself on a personal level, do you turn to mediums?
Well, touch wood, when I first started healing, I was brought up with a really bad diet. I didn't discover things like broccoli till I was 18. And when I first started healing, Abraham said to me, look, you need to eat healthily and do exercise, not because it's using your energy, but because you need to sustain my energy all day. So I got the ego which sometimes healers get. I thought, well, if anything goes wrong, he'll take care of me. So I completely ignored it. And I actually developed a duodenum ulcer, which burst, and I was given a 96% chance of dying in hospital.
Oh, my goodness.
Which for an English hospital I thought was quite low. And that's the only time really I've been ill. That was about 5.5 years ago. Touch wood, I've never even had a cold or anything since.
So you're definitely taking the advice and looking after yourself in a stronger way.
I think it does come with good healthcare.
Yeah, you know.
Can you do anything for my hiatus hernia? That's what I want to know.
We do work with a lot of hiatus hernias. It's
do you?
Quite a common thing. A lot of people have it and don't realise.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
It is a very common condition, but yeah, we see quite a lot of them.
And do you have good results with that? Because it's something that is such an annoying bugbear for